In this part, I'm going to talk about visual role models. By the way, if you didn't watch the previous 10 parts, watch them in the right order before continuing here. Thank you. So I won't be repeating everything. Look, when it comes to role models, people imitate one another. There's nothing wrong with imitating one another because that's how you learn. Why do you speak English as a native language if English is your native language? Because you imitated people. And those people that you're imitating now, when they were kids, they imitated others. So imitation is human. Emulation is human also. There's nothing wrong with imitation and emulation. So when it comes to role models, human beings want another human being to function as a sign for them. Let me explain. You want someone to point a direction to you as a human being. There's nothing wrong with that. As human beings, we are designed to be led. A lot of people pride themselves they are not followers but leaders, but let me tell you, in practice, even leaders had to be shaped. Leaders from the human population, at least. You are designed to be led. First, be led by the Holy Spirit, and secondly, to be led by others under the influence of the Holy Spirit. So, you seek role models naturally. It's not something you think consciously of. It's something that's in you as a human being. You're looking for someone to model your behavior and your ideas after. With women, it's the same. As with men, they look for role models. And the pagan rulers of this world know this. Now what you see here is a drawing of ancient Greek fashion. The world of today is modeled after the Greek Empire because the pagan rulers of this world to worship Apollo. So this Catholic Masonic system we're under models the Greek world. In a quote-unquote modern way, of course. And in ancient Greece, women were not meant to reveal themselves. They had a public appearance, of course, because they need to be operative in public, but women wore long dresses. They wore long clothes. There were times women wore short dresses, in which you would see some of their legs, but in general, this was the rule for women. And there was an hierarchical distinction amongst women also. In its case, you have the mistress, and this is a slave right over here. This may be some relatives, but it's obvious there were ranks amongst them, and the style of the clothes revealed the rank. Well, I'm not going into that now, but these were the role models for women in ancient times. And remember, the Greek Empire ruled the whole world. The Greek Empire was renewed as a Roman Empire, and all leaders of the world throughout history since then, with a few exceptions, were all Apollonists. Okay? So let's continue. Again, it's a modern day interpretation of ancient Greek fashion. As you can see, not much is being revealed. There were occasions when women were permitted to reveal more. That was during pagan rites, during sexual rituals, of which the gala is one of them. So what they celebrate today in high school and in college, or in luxurious environments, called a gala party, it is a sex ritual in which women are initiated into womanhood. I've explained that before. So these were the decorations they used. This is a fashion show based on ancient Greek fashion, quote unquote. Well, this may be a bit of an exaggeration, but okay. It shows you that in general women were covered. By the way, I'm not sure whether all of these figures are female. There may be some hidden trannies amongst them, but this is not a transvestigation video. So let's continue. Here you see it again. Women were covered. In the early 20th century, around the 1920s, with the arrival of mass media, more women were depicted showing more skin. Let's continue. Here's revealed again. As you can see, in previous centuries, covered. Now, more is revealed. By the way, I'm not saying that before the 1920s, no woman walked around with skin revealed. It happened, but the norm was a female doesn't show much. And this is the Chinese fashion during the Qin dynasty. Women didn't reveal much, and by the way, most women were peasants. Not many lived in urban areas. With the beginning of the 20th century, when the Chinese Empire collapsed, with more Western influences and a higher urbanization, though to Japanese influences, the revealing fashion of the West was introduced there, and as you can see, more was revealed, but not that much. So let's continue. Again, the revealing culture, as you can see here. And by the way, you can see the checkerboard floor here, Freemasonry. I'm not going to investigate these figures, but they represent female figures. As you can see, they reveal more. Crossing the legs, which is referring to Apollo, an X. There's nothing wrong with crossing your legs as a female, don't get me wrong, but when pagans do it, they refer unto the beast. Men do it also. And here, men are covered, of course. By the way, men were permitted to reveal much in the past. Why? Because, well, ancient Greek had this pedophile thing that was kind of tolerated and in some places even accepted. But throughout history afterwards, men were not expected to reveal that much. And now it's the opposite. Now women are expected to reveal much, to show their femininity. This is from the baby booming generation. Something's wrong with this picture. I'm not really sure what it is, but this was the quote-unquote feminist celebration of the miniskirt. Here you see them revealing themselves. Well, I'm not sure whether this is a female over here. It has some, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one, but okay. Why did I show all those images? Because visual role models are important. Your brain remembers visuals far better than codes. Anyone that studied the learning process of human beings know this. So, why is it that over time, the pagan rulers enforced this revealing style for women? I'll talk about that later. Let me show you the girly style, how they developed it. These are, I'm not sure whether they were Chinese or Korean, but this is a school uniform for girls in the late 19th century, early 20th century. When Japan modernized, they introduced a school system based on the Prussian model. And there were also British influences. And as you can see, they are covered. They can't reveal more of the feminine shape, but they're covered. Over time, it became like this. These are British high school students. Well, that's at least what they're supposed to represent. This is the Baphomet sign right over here. Even though the shape appears feminine, I'm not going into that, but this style is just a style, but pagans use it. Here's the tie. The tie is a pagan Masonic symbol that refers to you being stuck. It was not intended for females at all, so this is kind of a gender blending outfit because they put a male Masonic symbol in it. This is AKB48, a group from Japan. You can see more is revealed. knee socks, in this British uniform, allegedly. More revelation. So, visual role models for females change a bit over time from being completely covered to more revealing. And to conservatives, this is considered a problem because it may, quote unquote, lead to promiscuity. Well, promiscuity also existed in ancient times when they were covered. And one more thing, until the 1950s, prostitutes wore long skirts. They were covered most of the time because a prostitute was also used as emotional compensation. Because a lot of men were frustrated, so they went to prostitutes not just to dump their sexual energy, but also to be emotionally comforted. So that's why they wore long skirts. The prostitutes. Today, a lot of prostitutes wore short skirts, but that has more to do with transvestites pretending to be women. Now, are these modern, well, quote-unquote modern, visual role models evil? No. Are these ones good because they were covered completely? No. Because in ancient times, you had those witch cults where only women were allowed, and those women had sexual relationships with one another, but they wore long skirts. They were covered only in parties. They would reveal much. So the long or short skirt or long short dress doesn't reveal anything about the character of a woman. At least just the textile on the body is not an indicator of anything. However, the amount of textile on the body does have an impact how others perceive you, especially males. So that's true. Why am I showing this again? To show you that the pagan rulers went from covering and hiding females to revealing females. And in the next part, I'm going to explain why they did it. This part was to show you that women are affected by the female role models that are given to them by society. Whether those female role models are real females or not doesn't matter. It's about what the brain perceives. Human beings are social creatures. We are imitators. We are emulators. So we imitate and emulate our environment. So if you put a lot of role models like these here for women, they'll likely adapt. That's human. That doesn't mean that they are whores, that they are promiscuous, nor that they are Jezebels. It's just human nature, and also feminine human nature, to imitate and emulate. If you have a culture where they cover women like this, they likely will emulate this. Now, there are individual females that may choose the exact opposite. Those are exceptions, but in general, people imitate and emulate one another. And that's human nature. There's nothing wrong with it. However, it depends on those that lead the human population, how it will turn out. And the pagan rulers of the world, they want women to follow their role models, but they have negative intentions behind the role models they present onto the female population. Now, this series is about feminine power. So in the next part, that's part 12, I'm going to explain how women can take advantage of this emulating and imitating nature of theirs, and how they can overrule the negative role models that society presents onto them. Again, agree with Christ and be at peace.